Hey guys, I'm Rachel. I just finished my first year at Western University, and I know that right now is the time of year for incoming Western students to choose their residences, so I decided to make a video on how to make the right choice for you. Now, just a disclaimer before we get started, I lived in Ontario Hall, or O Hall, first year, and so I am heavily biased towards that residence, just to let you know. Now let's begin by talking about the different styles of residences that you can choose from. So there's traditional style, suite style, and hybrid style. In a traditional style residence, you'll have either a single room or a double room, and you'll share 2 washrooms on your floor. So these are like communal washrooms. Each one will be shared with approximately 15 students. Now, what I heard from a friend who lived in a traditional style res last year was that the washrooms were mixed gendered at first, but the students living there ended up voting on having them being split gendered. Now, in a traditional style res, you'll really get to bond with the people around you. You guys are sharing washrooms, seeing each other every day, and that's how you'll really easily make friends. Another plus is that it's not dead. In most traditional style residences, they're usually known for having more of a social scene. On the downside, obviously, you can tell that you'll have to share your washroom with many people, and you won't get as much privacy, especially if you're in a double room, which most people get placed into. Next, we have the apartment style residences. So in these reses, you'll have a lot more privacy. It'll be a unit with either 3 to 4 bedrooms, and you'll have a single bedroom, so your own room, and then a shared kitchen area and living space, as well as 2 washrooms. And if you're someone who likes to cook for themselves, then this is for you because only the apartment style residences have kitchens. Usually apartment style residences are not as social, not as many parties and stuff going on, so they're quite dead. But that means that they're also better places to find privacy and to study in silence, which you won't find as easily in other residences. Thirdly, we have the hybrid style residences, which I like to think of as the best of both worlds. So here you'll have either a single room or a double room, but these rooms are a bit more spacious than the traditional style rooms. And how it works is that you'll have the bedrooms with a shared hallway, and then each unit has its own storage room and bathroom. So you'll share your bathroom with either 1 other person or 3 other people, depending on if you have a single or a double room. So that's all for the styles of residences. Now I want to talk about the locations. So our first area is like the southwest side of campus. The major intersection is Sarnia and Western Road. And here you'll find Ontario Hall, Perth Hall, Essex Hall, and London Hall. Now in this area, you'll find the rec center, which is like Western's really nice gym and recreational center for sports. So if working out is an important thing for you, I would highly recommend getting one of these residences. Now each res has their own gym like in the building, but they're really small and lacking, and the rec center is really, really nice. So that's where people go. People don't really use the gyms in their actual buildings. Now, also in this area, you're close to the engineering building and the IB Business School building. You're also around a plaza with 7-Eleven, Subway, Pizza Hut, and you'll have an easy bus route to downtown as well as to another area further on the west side that has some good things like Costco, bubble tea, and other food places. The next location is sort of the northeast side, and here you'll find Elgin Hall, Alumni Hall, Medway Sydenham, and kind of Delaware Hall. It's not exactly in that area, but I'll still count it as there. What you'll find here is a really nice walk to campus, but you'll have to cross a bridge, which might be kind of sketchy at night. Now, these residences are really close to a plaza with King Richie's, which has really, really good pizza that I would recommend, and some other food places like a Korean restaurant, but I wouldn't say it's as good as the other food plaza by Sarnia and Western Road. Now, you'll also get a really easy bus route to downtown, and you're right next to the Megabus stop, which is a bus company that can take you from Western to Toronto and other different routes that I haven't taken before, but I know a lot of students use Megabus to get home on the weekends or for reading week. Lastly, we have the north side. Here is Saugeen Maitland Hall, Bayfield Hall, and also Lambton Hall. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this location is not great. There's not much around here, not much to do here, although it is still a pretty easy walk to campus. Now, another thing that I wanted to add is that even though everyone is living on campus, mostly for first year, proximity still makes a huge difference. Like a walk from O Hall to Medway Sydenham is around 20 to 30 minutes. And that makes it really hard to see friends if you're like across campus, because it's so much easier to just meet with people who are in your area. And how I formed a lot of my friendships in first year was actually through residence and also clubs and extracurriculars, and not really as much through my classes or program. Now, in my opinion, one of the most important things to consider when choosing your residence is food. So I already mentioned the plazas that each of the residence areas are around, but let's talk about the cafeteria food specifically. Basically, everyone knows that Ontario Hall and Saugeen have the best food, the best cafeterias, and people will come to O Hall and Saugeen just for the food, even if they don't live there. Some important things to note are not all the residences have cafeterias. So London, Bayfield, Lambton, and Alumni do not. And then also, not all the residences run for the same hours of operations. So Ontario Hall, Saugeen Hall, and Medway Sydenham have extended hours from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. every night for like a night snack. So if you're in another residence and you want food during like past 7:30 p.m., you'll have to walk to one of these 3 residences to get food. Now, another thing I wanted to touch on is that different residences have their own living learning communities. And basically, this means that if you want to live with people in the same program or faculty as you, if you want to live with people who are in the same like group or LGBTQ plus allies, things like that, you can find these easily on Western's residence website and see which community is the right fit for you. Now, this is optional, and I know not a lot of people actually base their decisions off of these communities, but it is something to keep in mind if this is something that's important to you. Now, lastly, I wanted to put together a sort of residence matrix map situation to give you guys the best idea of what the different residences are like in terms of their like social level, the privacy that you get, and things like that. Okay, starting off with the traditional style residences, I'm going to be honest, I don't know anyone from Delaware Hall, but I've heard people call it Smelly Deli. And since it's traditional, I'll put it as low privacy, and it's like relatively social, but it's not really known for having a lot of parties. Next, we have Medway Sydenham, or MedSyd for short. Now, this residence is also quite low in privacy, but it's more known for its like social activity, so I'll put it a bit higher than Delaware. And finally, Saugeen, very infamous for its parties. And I've also heard, although I don't know if it's true, that if you rank Saugeen as like your last or second last on your residence rankings, you'll be more likely to be placed into Saugeen because they're trying to get rid of the party culture there. They're trying to put people who are not partiers into Saugeen so that it becomes less of a party residence. Just keep that in mind. Okay, now for the suite style residences. Firstly, Alumni House. It's very cold and dead from what I've heard. It used to be an upper year residence, so you will have your own space, but I wouldn't really recommend it to anyone unless you like being alone all the time. It's also really far from O Hall. Next, we have Elgin Hall, which is around MedSyd and Alumni House. It's less dead than Alumni, and you will find more to do there, but still not that much, so I'll put it right here. Now moving on to Essex Hall, it's basically the same building, like rooms and layout as Elgin. However, it does have a better location. It's close to O Hall. It's at the nicer intersection near the rec center. And so while it is still quiet in Essex, it's really easy to walk over to O Hall to find good food and parties. Next is Lambton Hall, which is near Saugeen and Bayfield. Lambton also used to be an upper year residence, so you'll have a nice like spacious area, but it's also very, very dead. And you can go over to Saugeen for fun, but other than that, there's not much around you. And the last suite style residence is London Hall, which also used to be an upper year residence, meaning that you'll have nice space and big beds. What makes this residence better than Alumni and Lambton, however, is that it's close to O Hall. Last but not least, the hybrid style residences. Let's start with Ontario Hall, which as we know is the best residence. Here you'll get a good balance between the privacy of like suite style residences, but also the fun and social aspect of traditional style residences. Next, Perth Hall is basically the same as O Hall in terms of the room layout, but it's older, it's not as pretty, and less social, so you will find more peace and quiet there. And lastly, Bayfield Hall. To be honest, I didn't even know this was a hybrid style residence until I started doing this video. But pretty much, Bayfield Hall also used to be an upper year residence, and so you'll have your space and privacy once again, but also nothing to do except for maybe go over to Saugeen for some parties. And that's it. I hope you found this video helpful, and good luck with your residence selection. My next video is going to be on the top things you should know before entering your first year of university, so if you're interested, stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.